Kind of gear backpackers leaving home, coming up. Welcome backpackers, my name is Thor. I get you out on the trail, geared up, educated, and more informed. I post videos every single week, so please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Now let's get to today's topic. Backpackers, as you start getting more experience, you get out on the trail more, you start realizing some of those things that you can leave at home. Now, am I saying that this whole list today you should get rid of right now if you have in your pack? Yes, I am. Just kidding. No, but really, this is just a list of things that as I started backpacking, gaining more experience, I realized that I don't need these types of things when I go in the backcountry for the type of backpacking that I do. That is not to say that any of these items make you a worse backpacker, make you a terrible backpacker, or mean you shouldn't be on trail. That's not this at all. This is just some of the gear that backpackers start thinking about of ditching first to drop some weight. All right, guys, I've got a whole pile of gear. I've got a whole pile of gear over here. Let's go through it one by one to see what I ditched first. First off, a blanket. This is not a blanket. It's not a blanket. First off is a camp towel. Now, this is a full-size towel. It's microfiber. It is lightweight. But as you start backpacking, you realize you're just gonna reek, you're just gonna dry off if you walk down the trail. This is something that early on, I realized I was never pulling it out of my pack and never using it. So I thought to myself, why bring it? So I didn't. I stopped bringing it and I've never missed it. Next item. This one might shock you a little bit, but as I, over the years, have been in the backcountry, I've seen a lot of different styles of cooking. And this is by far the heaviest and the least efficient way to eat in the backcountry. Canned food. I'm not kidding you. I have seen more people with canned food in the backcountry. Mainly soups is what I see. Now, is there something wrong with eating canned soup? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying maybe open the can and put it in a Ziploc or a double Ziploc so in case that one hole pokes through, I don't know, maybe that's not a good idea. I don't know, just leave this heavy can home. This thing weighs like a pound. All right, next up. Now this one, some of you might disagree with me on, but when I got rid of this item in my pack, I really didn't miss it. And that is a larger knife. This is a Mora knife. And I've had this knife for a few years and I used to throw it in my backpacking pack and never got it out. So I decided that it wasn't worth carrying anymore. That being said, I do think it's important to carry a knife in the backcountry. I carry the most adorable pocket knife. I know that you guys have seen this before and you guys have heard millions of things about it, but the reason I carry this is because it saves me weight and really it's the same function as this knife. I've never thought to myself while backpacking, man, I wish I had my Mora knife, or man, I wish I had my Rambo knife at home, or man, I wish I had my survival machete. This next one, this one is debatable. This depends on where you go while you're backpacking. If you're gonna be backpacking where there's bears, this is something you do not wanna ditch. But this is not something you need to carry all the time in every situation, in every backpack. For example, here in Utah, we have black bears. The last time I went out on trail, I went up into the Uinta Mountains here in Utah, and I decided not to bring this for whatever reason. And we hiked in at like 10:30 at night and there was this group of people walking out and we're like, why are you guys hiking out so late? And they're like, well, last night at 3 a.m. there were a bunch of warning fire shots at the camp next to us, and then this morning there were more warning fire shots because there were bears in camp. This was a moment that I wished I wouldn't have ditched this. But when heading to southern Utah into a more desert climate, this is something that can stay at home. So bear spray or bear deterrent, use your brain when deciding if to bring this or not. Next up, for those of you who are interested in taking video, interested in photography while you're out on trail, you might want to look away. But my suggestion is to leave this bad boy at home. This is not something that you're gonna need out on trail. The phones that we have today have more capabilities than they have ever had before. You can shoot in 4K. I'm shooting in 4K right now on my cell phone. Why would I bring this huge camera when I can shoot perfectly good video on my phone that weighs nearly nothing and I'm gonna bring anyway? Just a thought. But if you are totally into photography, bring it. This is just something that I decided not to bring. Freaking my buns are frozen. My buns are frozen to this rock. All right, next is excessive amounts of fire starters. Now, I've got here to represent today a ferrocerium rod, some weatherproof matches with a ferrocerium rod on the bottom. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take something to start fire, because it's extremely important that you have at least 2 methods of starting fire in the backcountry. What I choose to do is I choose to bring 3 or 4 weatherproof matches and a Bic lighter. Those 2 things have never failed, and I've never had to use the weatherproof matches. Things that are fun to use that I don't bring are things like a ferrocerium rod, unless I'm out like bushcrafting or something, but it's not something that I'm gonna bring while backpacking. Next is something that I love to use every single day. Oh yeah. It's my hydro flask or thermoflask or whatever type of metal drink holder that you carry. Now, these keep your cold things cold and your hot things hot, and that's great, but not on the trail. On the trail, all you need is a gas station water bottle, like a Smart water bottle or a Life water bottle, to keep your liquids contained. Now, what am I saying? Leave the Nalgene at home. Leave the hydro flask at home and save yourself some weight. If you cannot live without a hydro flask, or you cannot live without your beloved Nalgene, then just keep it. But something that I ditched was heavy water containers. Now, the next item is something that I thought I would for sure use on the trail, which I ended up not using, and that was a Leatherman or a Gerber multi-tool. Now, while there are a lot of functionalities and a lot of cool things on this, why do I need a Phillips head screwdriver while backpacking? I don't, and this thing is stinking heavy. And I have never had a time in the backcountry when I thought to myself, man, I wish I had my Leatherman. Because it's very rare that you would need a pair of pliers. Very rare that you're gonna need a can opener, unless you're bringing canned food, which you shouldn't, but if you do, that's your own choice. Now, as soon as I cut this out of my way and I added that little Swiss Army knife, I never missed it. But if you can't live without a Leatherman and this backup tool, then take it on your next trip with you. Next, this is another item that I would definitely take bushcrafting or car camping, but not when I go backpacking. That is an axe or a hatchet. The reason I wouldn't take this is because I'm not doing a ton of fires while I'm backpacking. But if I do, there are plenty of deadfall, plenty of trees everywhere that you can break branches off of, that I'm not gonna need an axe to be processing wood for a fire. The last tip, something that backpackers, I think you need to ditch, but some may disagree. I think that backpackers need to leave home more clothing. Now, that being said, depending on the condition, if it's cold weather and you need more clothing, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you're going out in the spring, summer months, when it's hot outside, you don't need 10 layers of clothing. You need a good base layer, a mid layer, and an outer layer like this light puffy jacket if it's getting really cold at night. If you like to carry extra clothes when you sleep, just think about maybe getting like a small pair of like long johns or some kind of thermal underwear versus like another pair of sweatpants and a hoodie that keep you extra warm. Because if you have selected your sleeping pad and your sleeping bag accordingly, you shouldn't be needing all this extra gear to keep you warm at night, especially out on the trail during the summer months. Another thing to avoid and leave at home is cotton material. This will destroy you in the backcountry. It's heavy, it doesn't dry, and it's gonna make you rosada. It's gonna make you chafe. So just leave it at home. Also, footwear. Don't go out and buy a new pair of boots. Take what you have. If you have a pair of trail runners, running shoes, take those if they're broken in. Do not go on trail with shoes that are not broken in. The only point I want you to take away from this is use what you have and use what's broken in. Never plan a trip and break in your shoes on that trip. All right, guys, I need you to drop a comment below and tell me which gear that you ditch first, which gear that you leave at home to help save weight, or maybe it just doesn't have a functionality for you. Let me know in the comments below. All right, guys, please hit the like button if you found value in this video. Please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this released on a regular basis, and turn your bell notification on so you don't miss any future videos. Backpackers, thanks for stopping by.